Hello everyone, this is Korosh Erfani and today is Sunday, January 4th, 2026. We got the breaking news regarding the preparation of Israel to start military action against Iran. It's almost imminent and the people are guessing about a few hours to few days. So that it starts. And the mainstream media is talking about a kind of maybe psychological war regarding what happened in Venezuela and the possibility of extension of this kind of operation in other countries, including Iran. But Israel is sending directly the message according to which military action against Iran is being prepared right now, and it will be executed either in a few hours or, as I said, a few days. We will see. But one question remains. Why this precipitation? Why in hurry? And why they want to do it as soon as possible, just a few days after the starting of the new year. So let's see. This is a joint action by Israel and the United States. And we got the news according to which there are more and more military sending by the United States, different kinds of equipment, weaponry through Europe toward the Persian Gulf, preparing effectively a big action against Iran on behalf of Israel by the United States. So we know that it's going to happen. The reasons for which the United States is eager to do so for Israel is obvious, because this country itself needs effectively a war. The United States needs a war for a simple reason, because the U.S. economy is on the verge of collapse. And I had told you that there are many indications telling us that the economy is not going well in the United States, and that was the only promise of President Trump on which the people decided to vote for him, and that was the excellent golden age economy. But it's not the case. Not only it's not the case, but we know that something extremely bad is going to happen. Why? Because now we have a certitude that the U.S. economy in 2026 will go down. All right. So let's, for example, develop one of the fields in which we have a very bad feelings regarding the U.S. economy. We know that one of the main sources of energy for Chinese economy was effectively the oil of Venezuela. So by the action that happened 2 days ago, the United States is trying to have a control over one of the most important source of energy for the Chinese economy. So from that moment, of course, we know that just before that, the United States, through sanctions, tried to cut effectively the continuation of sending a lot of oil by Iranian government to China. So the objective is to surrender effectively and to restrict the access of the Chinese economy to the cheap energy somehow, Venezuela, Iran, or maybe later elsewhere. So, of course, China as a superpower is planning to retaliate. And this retaliation can effectively shake the American economy and put it in shambles. How? So we must know that after Japan, China is the biggest holder of the U.S. treasuries. So we are talking about something like 80 to 800 to 900 billion dollars of the treasury bonds and other forms of treasury, let's say, assets in the hands of China. So imagine that China starts, and most probably this is what's going to happen tomorrow, Monday, with the opening of the market. I think we are going to have the first reaction, the serious reaction of China by pouring effectively these bonds and other forms of assets into the market in order to sell that. And we know that with a little trend, similar trend by Japan, which happened a few weeks ago, already the stock market is going down, right? And imagine now China decide effectively to revenge, to retaliate, and it comes effectively with all these bonds and try to sell them, right? And of course, the U.S. Treasury is the guarantor of these bonds and has to pay the Chinese banks or companies or government. So from that moment, we must wait for a fall of the stock market tomorrow in New York. If it starts tomorrow, it could be one day after or in a few days. But through that, we can understand that the U.S. economy, with almost $40 trillion national debt and with more than 1.5 million people unemployed during just 1 year, and with an inflation that goes up for some cases to 40%, otherwise between 4 to 12% in average. So we can imagine this economy with a extremely fragile currency, dollar, US dollars, how it is effectively really on the brink of a kind of we can call that fall, collapse, or anything else, but serious economic crisis in the United States. This is what is going to happen. So the United States has the motivation effectively to start a war. The case of Venezuela is just the starting point of a chain of events. Don't forget that. We are living 1-2% of this chain, and 99-98% of this are coming. So that's why the United States needs effectively a huge blow, a huge coup, in order to show effectively to the world that not only it is a superpower, but it is the only superpower able to do whatever it wants. This is not the case of China, this is not the case of Russia, but the United States wants to establish that this is the only one, like the Israel, which is the superpower of the Middle East, able to do whatever, to bomb any country, to kill anyone across the Middle East. The United States wants to show that it's able to do it at a global level. Right? So that's why this decision, which is a very aggressive decision and deeply irrational, will have the consequences. And we are going in 2026 to leave effectively all the subsequent results of this behavior by the United States. We are just at the beginning. As some says, it didn't even start yet, right? But I think it has started, and we are going to have, in an incremental way, a huge catastrophic consequences of the the United States decision for attacking Venezuela, for capturing its president, and you will see how it will accumulate into a real catastrophe. I'm going to explain how it's going to happen, not in long term, in short term. We are talking about the scope of 2026. Now, let me explain that if the United States needs really war in order to avoid the civil war, because this is one of the scenarios that is possible in 2026 year, and let me refer you to an excellent interview of Professor Jeffrey Sachs today, where he is explaining that we are over the period of constitutionality in the United States. There is no more constitutional order in the United States, and he is talking about the post-constitutional era in the United States. Post-constitutional era is, I think, a very shy word or labeling of the jungle law period, the jungle law era, right? This is what the United States of Donald Trump will be from the second year of the second term of his presidency, right? We are going there. So in that era, we must not wait for any more restriction that can have a rational foundation or legal foundation or constitutional foundation, and nothing as such. There is no more break. There is no more any, let's say, neutralizing the total irrationality that is going on right now in the Trump's administration. There is nothing that can prevent that. There is nothing that can stop that. So that's why with this accumulation of many irrational decisions, we are going effectively to leave something extremely bad in the United States and across the world. That's for sure. The second fact. Now let's go to the real engine of all these troubles, Israel, the Zionist entity. Regarding the Zionist entity, we should know that almost the same fate, but in an accelerated way, is waiting for Israel over there, right? I put on the verge of collapse. It could look like a little exaggerated, but as far as I know, many indicators are telling us that no, it's not really exaggerated, because if you go through the different elements that are pushing Netanyahu government to do something excessive or exaggerated or extreme, you understand that these elements are real or factual and are dismantling this entity that is the Zionist entity of Israel. I invite you to see this article that I published a few days ago on my website, KoroshErfani.com. You can have the URL of the website just on the bottom of the page. You can see it's called Israel imposing a regional explosion to avoid an internal implosion. Okay, this is something that I believe is happening. If Israel doesn't want to wage war at a very large level, a very large scope, it has to face the music, right? Face an internal implosion that has been generated in a very intense way after October 7, 2023, and the genocide and the total destruction of Gaza, and now with the destruction of the West Bank, and so on and so on. So Israel is now in an irreversible point where it cannot really change, it cannot turn around anything that is the negative consequences of its action from October 7. So that's why we must expect effectively a huge erratic, catastrophic policy by Netanyahu's government, and this is what is happening. That's why they decided effectively to wage the war as soon as possible, so that they can avoid the Zionist band, the extremist, the right extreme wing in Israel, can avoid effectively the judicial consequences of the investigation on October 7, 2023. This is what is happening over there, and the results could be really fatal for not only Netanyahu, but a bunch of Zionist killer genocider with him. Okay, so that's why they have to accelerate the things, exactly like Trump here in the United States, in order to remove any possibility to organize a normal midterm election in November. He has to move fast, right, at full speed, in such a way that there won't be any election in the United States. And this is one of the materialization, crystallization of what Jeffrey Sachs is naming as post-constitutional era in the United States. The same thing is happening in Israel. If this criminal band of Netanyahu and his team don't move fast, they won't have the opportunity, to blow up completely the electoral system and the elections that is coming in July, I think July 26 in Israel. So that's why it's a matter of hours or days to start a war with Iran, right? This is what is going to happen without any doubt. But unlike what happened in the 12 Days War, the previous war between Iran and Israel, this time we are talking about something much more serious, much more devastating. Why? Because I said it in one of my videos a few weeks or months ago, that this war will be the last one. It could not be any other war that we can call, for example, the third round of military confrontation between Israel and Iran, or something like that. No, it's impossible. It won't. It will be the last one, the second and the last one. So that's why some analysts are talking about the last war, the mother of wars, and some of them even are talking about the most suicidal war imaginable, which means that the two countries have to try to see how they can get rid of the other. I am talking about the elimination. I am talking about the annihilation. Even though these words are extreme and grave, but we have to think about that there is a total impossibility of letting Iran, I am talking about the Iranian regime, letting the Iranian regime, being in power after having bombed it heavily by the United States and by Israel. It's unimaginable. So that's why we are talking about not only war, but regime change, and we should know, as I explained in one of my videos just a few days ago, Israel is not looking really for a regime change in Iran. The only objective that Israel has regarding Iran is total annihilation of this country. Which means total disintegration of Iran, making Iran a complete example of Syria or Yemen or Lebanon or Libya, but multiplied by thousand and thousand, the total balkanization of Iran. This is the objective. So that's why with the social protests right now in Iran, Israel is calculating that if it lets effectively the Iranian people take care of the situation through a real expanding and growing protest or social movement, it could lead to something positive, which is either a regime change or a serious structural change in the current regime, something extremely positive for the Iranian people, for the Iranian nation, not for the Iranian regime, right? So if it happens, it means that Iran will have another political representation, another government, another structure, another policy, and of course another diplomacy. And it will send a message to the whole world that you are dealing with a new Iran, right? It's not the Iran of Republic Islamic. It's not the Iran of the Islamic regime or the things like that. No, that's a new Iran with a government that is putting the national interests at the center of its decisions and policies. So can you imagine such a thing while Israel is planning years, if not decades, to bomb Iran and to destroy Iran? Israel that has tried by any means possible to destroy Iran by its infiltrated people, in the political structure, in the Iranian government, a lot of crypto Jews who are there and who are trying to sabotage anything in Iran, environment, economy, national currency, and so on, so that Israel can get closer to its objective, which is the total destruction and annihilation of Iran. Can you imagine that Israel gives this opportunity to Iranian people to take care of the Iranian regime and then to transform everything in a positive way in their country? I don't think so at all. So that's why this acceleration. That's why they are trying to do it in a few hours or in a few days, so that the Iranian people don't have this chance, this historical chance to change something effectively, to change structurally something. So I said in one of my previous videos a few days ago that Israel wants effectively the continuation of the Iranian regime to the point that this regime, provides the excuse or the pretext to bomb Iran, right? To the United States and also to Israel and to Western countries. Don't forget that United Kingdom will be with Israel for bombing Iran. So everyone will have effectively, if the current regime continues, have the excuse to bomb Iran. The only scenario, the only situation in which we can imagine something else is when the Iranian nation could effectively get rid of the Iranian regime, Iranian government, and present a new government with a new policy, with a new approach, regarding everything. And Israel doesn't want that. Israel considers it as a nightmare, right? And that's why I am pretty sure that everything will go in an accelerated way, in such a way that Israel can have the good excuse to bring the United States to bomb Iran. So when I say a good excuse, you can think about the fact that at the head of these two countries that are getting prepared to attack Iran, the United States and Israel, at the head of both countries, you have effectively two convicted leaders, two convicted prime minister and president, who want to do whatever is necessary in order to avoid the consequences of their felonies. Here in the United States with the Epstein file, something that is completely managed and controlled by the Zionists, right, in order to have effectively leverage over president, and in Israel several felonies of Benjamin Netanyahu. So you can imagine that two convicted criminal people are able effectively to do what exactly? I see the possibility of an incremental crisis that could lead effectively, believe me or not, to the extinction of the human species on the planet. Maybe you are asking how? This is how it can happen. We are talking about a war that cannot be limited or controlled at all. Once this second round of war between Israel and Iran starts, you will see that it looks like national war. By national war, I mean the war between two nations, right? Maybe a bilateral war, something like that. But immediately we can see how this war will expand and will become a regional war without any doubt. And I am talking about regional scope that includes Middle East, it's big, Persian Gulf area, it includes Turkey, it includes Pakistan. So we are going really to have a total regional war very soon, once the exchange of fire starts between Iran and Israel, or between the United States and Iran. So there is a huge possibility because of the intervention of the superpower, the regional superpower like Turkey, like Pakistan with the nuclear weapon. We have a possibility of having a continental war. The continental war means the war of Asia. West Asia, then Southeast Asia with China, Taiwan, North Korea, and so on and so on. So we are going to have most probably a continental war, which is just 1 millimeter far from a world war, a global war. So I think incrementally, and in a stage, we are going to see this bilateral war, then regional war, and continental war, and finally a global war, a world war. And don't forget, as I said in my previous video, I quote Kim Jong-un, the North Korea's leader. I said that he's talking already. He is talking about the nuclear world war. This is what is going to happen once this war between Israel and Iran starts with the participation of the United States. So, if it's hard to imagine how we are close to the possibility, to potentially, to a world war, just wait a few hours, a few days, so that Israel and the United States start their attack against Iran. And by the retaliation and by the scope of the destruction in the region, you will see that we will be, in a few days, not much more. In the case of a regional war, and if it's the case, you can be sure that we won't be far from a continental war, and from that moment, you can be sure that the world war will be coming. And we are talking a world war that is for sure with a nuclear nature, right? With the nuclear aspect, and the destruction that it will cause effectively will put an end to any form of life on this planet. I know that it's very hard to imagine. Needless to say, that it's very depressing, right? I understand that, but we should be aware about that. This possibility has a huge chance to come true. Okay, so that's why I invite you to think about that, because Israel has been born to bring the world to this point. You know, when we think about the way this country has been has taken place in the middle of Middle East, in the center of the Middle East, among the Arab and Muslim countries, we had to be sure about that, right? Even at that time, we would have been aware about the possibility of getting there where we are right now, but we didn't do that. Israel has been destroying every possibility to avoid it, year after year, decade after decade along the way, and we didn't anything, and you will see that in no time this entity, the Zionist entity, is able to trigger something that can put an end to life on this planet of the solar system. We will see. I am watching effectively the situation. We are trying to cover it as much as possible, and I hope that I am wrong in my analysis, and there won't be a war, there won't be any world war, global war, so on and so forth and so forth. But that's just the wishful thinking. The facts are there, and the facts are acting. Thank you very much for watching this video.